Hello and welcome back to Wireman's Whimsy. Today we are going to make a card using the greeting from the Sparkling Snowflake set and the Snowflake Punch. So what I've got is a side opening card because the front is really heavy. So if you were to make it like a tent fold card, it would just fall down. So side opening landscape means it's going to stay open without falling down. What I've done is I've taken some Coastal Cabana and I cut the strip just shy of 2 inches, like just so you can see the 2-inch line on your cutting, whatever cutter you're using, so that it fits really well inside the groove here. And I just pushed it all the way in and then punched, and then I just trimmed it off with my paper trimmer, so that I've just got these pieces here like this. So that's how I made the pieces that I'm going to use. So the other elements that I've got are, got my card base. I've got a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 piece of basic white that I've cut the middle out of so that I can use it for another project. And then this is supposed to be a 5 1/4 by 4 piece of the Nests of Winter Designer Series paper, but because I was cutting the birds out of it, I don't have any full-size pieces, so this is 5 by 4, 4 7/8 by 4, but this would be 5 1/4 by 4, probably. So then I've got, for the front of the card, I've got a piece of basic white that is 3 by 4. And you could, if you wanted to reuse your piece that you've cut out of the middle, you absolutely could. It'll fit just fine. And then a 1 1/4 by 4 piece for the greeting. So I've got all my pieces ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'll stamp my greeting to start with on the 1 1/4 by 4. So let's do that. Using my blending brushes a lot here on this one. So we're just going to ink up the stamp with our Coastal Cabana. We're just going to pop that down right in the middle like that. There we go. And then we're going to take the blending brush and we're going to just add some ink around the edges. This helps kind of integrate the greeting into the card, so it's not just this stark piece of white that's sitting on top of everything. But because my edges on this one are going to be smaller, I'm also going to just add some of the Coastal Cabana to the edges here like this. I'll do the other side as well. I'm not going to do the top and bottom because there's only going to be just a little tiny bit showing there. Okay, and then I'm going to take my middle piece, my 3 by 4 piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm coming in quite deeply, not just doing the edge, because I'm looking for that detail. There wasn't really enough of the basic white showing to use an embossing folder underneath, but I still found it was just a little bit stark along the edges, so I just added that little bit of color. And on this one, I'd already built the card when I did this edging, so it's not on these pieces here, and I find that it's quite a distinction between the edges. So let's go ahead and build this card. I'm going to take my adhesive like this, and I just used one of the deckled rectangle dies to do this, but I always use one that's big enough that it leaves me with enough room to put the adhesive or do the tape runner on it. Okay, so because this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, it's just got those narrow margins or narrow border all the way around the edge. So you just need to be just a little bit careful when you put it on. Now I'm just going to add my piece of Nests of Winter Designer Series paper. And it is 4 wide. So again, just that narrow border on these two sides, but I've got the extra space here, but I've also filled in some of that extra space so it's not quite so stark. Okay, so what do we need to do with this? We need to take our pieces that we've trimmed out, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got them the right way up, because when you use the punch, it does move the material towards the back, so you want to make sure that you've got the punched piece the right way up. Okay, so we're going to put those together like that. They're going to sit like this, and it looks like I need to trim this one just a little bit. But let's start gluing them down before I do any trimming. With the other ones, they actually all just met in the middle. This one, we need to put this right up against the top edge, because these are 2 inches wide and your paper is 4 inches long. So you need to be able to fit the 2 on the page. So then we're going to pop this one here, and that looks like it's going to fit just perfectly there. So we're just going to add our adhesive like this. I'm just going to butt that straight up against there like that. Now these ones may not be the correct size specifically, so I'm just going to put one down. I'm going to line it up here. So it's lined up here, so you've got the V here, and it's at the bottom of the page. It's just offset a little bit here. Now when I add this piece, it's too tall. So you've got 2 options. You can just overlap it so it matches up, or you can just trim a little bit off. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off. Let me put this somewhere where you can actually see what I'm doing. This is just a little bit tricky because it's not going to line up against anything. I've got it up against the edges there. And because I'm only taking a little bit off, I'm actually going to start my trimmer in the middle and trim that piece off so that it doesn't tear the paper. Sometimes if you're only trying to take a little bit off and you start at the top, it actually pulls that corner over. So, and that's perfect. We're just going to just add the adhesive to this one, line it up, put it down. So there we go. Now our greeting is going to go right across the middle of all of that. So we're just going to add some adhesive to the back of this, like this. And we're going to line it up, and I'm using these diamonds as my kind of registration marks to when I'm in the middle. So there we go, we've got that. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to dimensionalize it onto the front of the card. I'm just going to pop 4 dimensionals, 1 in each corner, because I'm putting some bling in the middle. So I want the bling to have somewhere to kind of squash down into for mailing the card. And because it's got bling on it, I will also put a piece of scrap designer or cardstock over top of it to stop these breaking through the envelope. So we're just going to pop this right in the middle of our card front, like that. There we go. And then we've got the In Color Shimmer Gems. Now these I think are probably supposed to be Summer Splash or something like that, but they actually work really well as Coastal Cabana. So, and I'm out of little ones, so I'm using big ones on this one. And I'm just putting 3 across like that. And 3 across like this. And I'm doing this under the camera, not right underneath my eyes where I normally would. So if they're not straight, I apologize. If I had it pulled right up close to myself, they'd be straight, but doesn't always happen that way under the camera. So there we go. So there are our 2 cards using the Sparkling Snowflakes greeting and then the punch itself to create the snowflakes around the edges. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this series.